5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're in the pipe, 5 by 5.
This is the 5 on Film podcast.
Hello and welcome to 5 on Film, the podcast where we break down the top 5 in the world of film. I'm your host, Chris Murray, standing in for Phil.
Phil? Leave this in. Please leave this in. Don't stop.
Right.
Phil McCracken.
Hello and welcome to 5 on Film, the podcast where we break down the top 5 in the world of film. I'm your host.
I'm sorry.
Chris
Please
Murray.
leave the film in. It's brilliant.
I'm your host, Chris Murray, and I'm standing in for Paul Cree, who is, working, gallivanting around, watching a movie probably. And joining me again are my colleagues and friends, Matt.
Hey guys.
John.
Hello there.
Ollie.
Hello.
And a special guest this evening is Amelia. Hi, Amelia.
Hello. How
Welcome.
are you?
Hi,
Good, thank you. Before I introduce today's topic, here's how the show works. We have 3 rounds: nominations, eliminations, and rankings. First, we each nominate a film we believe deserves to be on the top 5 and why it should be there. If 2 or more
Still laughing about the
panelists,
film thing. Sorry, Chris.
if 2 or more panelists agree, it makes our initial list. We carry on till we hopefully have 7 films. Once we have our 7, we eliminate, and here we decide on the 2 films to remove, leaving us with our top 5. And finally, the rankings, as we decide on the definitive 5 on film. Today's topic for the show is chosen by our guest. Amelia, would you like to introduce the topic and explain why you have chosen this one, please?
Well, when I was first asked to suggest a topic, I was thinking, I'll go for something highbrow, something documentary, features, film noir, something like that. What we ended up with is also something that I'm very passionate about, and that is Disney animation. I think we all have an opinion on it. We all think we know what is the best film. So I thought this would be a great subject to discuss today.
I totally agree. And I was just discussing with Matt before we started that there are 37 films to choose from currently. I believe that's right. And there's a kind of a blip in the middle where Pixar kind of dominated, but we're not counting any of them. It's pure Disney productions from the back catalogue, from Snow White up into what's the newest one? Is it Raya?
Raya,
the Last Dragon. John, have you got a nomination for us?
I'm going to go a bit more recent. Not that more recent, actually. But I'm going to suggest that frying pans are the things to have. I suggest Tangled because, again, it's such a slight story. And this is actually a common thing with Disney films, even going back all the way to Snow White. They take such a slight fairy tale and then build so much around it to actually make it into, in this case, going on 90-minute animation film, instead of just being a girl locked in the tower. You have backstory, you have reason, and it starts off not as her story. The opening narration is actually done by Flynn Rider. This is the story about how I died, I believe the opening is, but it's very, this one comes after Frozen. I think this is actually the better film. I think this was actually the 50th one.
I thought this is before Frozen.
Yeah,
Before Frozen.
Oh, okay, sorry, but he's sorry. Where it didn't
The
mean
one
it is
before.
it's
The one
actually
before.
it is actually the 50th in the list of films they made, and I think by then they kind of got these obviously they've got the fairy tale stories down pat, but it's witty, it's got lots of physical humor in it, it's got a the animals don't talk. We don't have talking animals. We have aware animals, and they interact. I mean, the horse is a huge character in its own right, and the way the chameleon kind of looks as she Rapunzel wraps the hair around Flynn's hand to heal it with the hair. And he just kind of looks up at him and goes, "Yeah, you thought it was weird already." It's very self-knowing. It's probably got the closest character to an old-fashioned Disney villain in Mother Gothel. She's almost cut from that same cloth, yet she's got this 20th century, 21st century feel about her, because she's gaslighting all the time, and every compliment is a put down, and then it yeah, I actually think this is a really good film.
Okay, right, Matt. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go for this one. I like this one a lot. I think it's very good. It was a massive hit in my household. My daughter, she loved this when she was growing up. She absolutely adored it. She thought it was fantastic. Great song that starts the whole stuff off. You know, when will my life begin? Big hit. Great song. It's Alan Menken again, isn't it? Alan Menken. Doing what he does best, making magic, winning Oscars. It's great. It's got some fantastic character names in this. I had a look around, and Ron Perlman's in it. There's a character called Stabbington Brother, and you've got the character, obviously, Flynn Rider is just a brilliant name as well. So beautiful animated style. I like it. It's kind of that oil painting type, sort of almost like French Renaissance kind of painting look, painterly look to it. Really good. Mandy Moore does a really good job in the title role. She's got a really exceptional voice, very clean. It's funny as well, as John put it. I mean, it's been a many years since I've seen it, but I remember, like, you know, it was funny to my 5-year-old at the time. It's been funny to my, you know, my 3-year-old boy at the time. And it was funny to adults as well. It's just a really good film. It made some good business. Like we said, it came. I think it was the animated film before Frozen. So yeah. I'm happy to put this in. It's a really good film. Really good film.
Okay, Amelia.
I'd say yes as well. I tend to steer away from the more modern Disney films, because by that stage I was getting a little bit older, a little bit less likely to watch them. But yeah, I really love Tangled. I really love the animals. I love the little chameleon and the horse. And to be honest, they kind of steal the show. And probably my favorite song is Mother Knows Best. And it's sort of like that, the level where the mother is going, yes, but you need to protect yourself from the world, and you know, there's all these horrible, scary things out there, and it is a journey of discovery, and about a young woman sort of learning that yes, there are some very scary things out there, but you sometimes need to sort of experience it, and shutting yourself away is not the answer. So I would definitely say yes, that Tangled should go through to the next round.
Right, well, thanks to Amelia, Tangled has gone through as our first film in the top 5. Ollie, do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I do. We're big fans of Tangled in my house. My kids really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I think it's funny for adults as well. I think Pascal, the comedian, hilarious, and Max, the horse, like we said before, they're brilliant, the animals. Even though they don't talk. one thing that I kind of noticed watching this, and then watching a lot of Disney films with my kids recently, that Disney has a very specific way of drawing horses, and it hasn't changed from Sleeping Beauty all the way through to Tangled and kind of beyond. If you have a look at the horse in Sleeping Beauty and have a look at the horse in Tangled, they've even though it's a different animation style, they're the same. It's got the same look, which I think is fantastic. I love that kind of through thread of a Disney horse. Yeah, Tangled's great. Yeah, put Tangled on the list. It's just outside my top 5, but yeah, deserving to be there.
And I would agree with the 4 of you as well. It is on my list at number 3. I think Tangled is fantastic, and it's Disney's best attempt at covering a narcissistic kidnapping story. Yeah, it's great. Okay, Matt, do you have a nomination for us?
Yeah, do you know what? Ollie segued quite nicely into Sleeping Beauty there, so I'm going to go for Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, a curious choice, you might think. It's history, nostalgia for me. I think this is one of those, and I know we've mentioned it a lot of times before. This is one of those VHSs that was on the shelf at home, and back in the day, in the late 80s, early 90s, when Disney, I mean, do they still release limited runs?
Not VHSs, they don't, no.
Not VHSs, no, limited runs on the current media of the day. Do they still do that and then take them off the shelf? They don't, do they? They're kind of all available now.
They do anniversary Blu-rays, so they'll release one every, I don't know, like a significant anniversary of the film. They'll release a version, which is probably just a complete copy of the previous disc.
With all the extras and the jazzy stuff.
Yeah,
on
it's whatever
get
they
the bare bones one.
Yeah.
So the bare bones one. Anyway, what I was trying to say is, back in the day, as you probably might remember, the VHSs and early days of DVD as well, they used to be limited runs, and they'd take them off the shelves from retail, and they create their own market bubble, wouldn't they? Disney. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing wrong. Black Diamond, Platinum editions, and all that. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. So one of those VHSs on our shelf was Sleeping Beauty, which I think is still in the attic, actually, in my mum's house, and it was played to death. And I just love it. It's got so much nostalgia to me. Princess Aurora. Everyone knows the story of Sleeping Beauty. It's a fairy tale that's been told through countless centuries. And this particular version of Sleeping Beauty by Disney was based on Charles Perrault or something. It's not the grim fairy tale that I knew as growing up. They're not the Sleeping Beauty that I knew, but a different, same story, but slightly based in a different way. And for me, I just loved how dark it was. It was a Disney film that had its light moments with the 3 fairy godmothers, Flora, Merryweather, and Fauna, and those light moments are all counterbalanced with some really dark moments with Maleficent. And you see it in the animation, the infusing of the really sickly green glow that she puts on the spinning wheel. And it's very, very dark. And for me, I just love the animation. I think it moved away from the animation that Disney was doing around Cinderella. It changed a little bit. There was a lot more of a design element to it. There's a lot more geometry to it. It was more functional, but the character models were much more realistic. I love it, and especially for me, which is the bit that I'll always remember, is the climactic ending sequence with the dragon. I just think over the music of Tchaikovsky from his ballet Sleeping Beauty is just phenomenal. It's got couple of great songs in it. Once Upon a Dream is one that I really remember. It's one of those films, I think, that the National Film Board in the Library of Congress in America has deemed it, culturally significant. So they put it in their archives. the animation, I think, as far as I was reading anyway, was the first time they filmed it around live actors. So they filmed live actors in the roles with the dialogue, and then they took that line. They helped the animators animate to give it a more realism to the character models. I think that was the first time they'd done it. And Disney released this on 70mm, so it was a big kind of like push for 70mm. This glorious kind of like, I mean, it's got an awesome color palette to the whole film anyway. But it didn't do very well. It didn't do very well, and it caused a lot of problems at Disney Studios, and caused a lot of layoffs, a lot of redundancies. It really didn't do very well. And at that time, it was, I think, what was it, 1959, off like a 6 million budget, which is nothing these days. But it barely made any money at all, and I think it caused a lot of issues at Disney. But that being said, it's just a wonderfully, like, the animation for me is just glorious. It's my favorite style of animation that Disney adopted post-war, from all those films, from the cartoony, more kind of cutesy visuals that they'd had with Pinocchio and Peter Pan and Dumbo. It changed into this kind of slightly more realistic. And I think a lot of the audiences didn't like it. I think that's why it didn't do much business. But now looking back at it, it's astonishing. And that climactic sequence with the dragon is just phenomenal. And it's one of my favorites. Yeah, Sleeping Beauty.
Okay, Amelia, Sleeping Beauty. What do you think?
I'm afraid it's not on my top 5. I feel like it's, like we were saying before we started, I think the thing about this is that the films that you love really represent a snapshot of and how old you are. So I think, to be honest, this doesn't really come into that.
Let's not go any
Matt,
further down that rabbit hole.
59.
Yeah.
But I just this is not sort of the classic era of Disney to me, so I'm going to say no. I'm afraid. Sorry.
Okay, John, as you are standing in front of Sleeping Beauty's castle, is
as John's in the 1950s range as well. So
yeah, I mean, actually, considering the ones I really like, we're kind of talking on about 12 now. Again, this is a excellent villain who's actually been resurrected a number of times for various projects on the Disney Channel, and yeah, there's something to be said for Maleficent being an evil goblin queen. Again, and this is what I was saying about taking a slight fairy tale and then building it into something grander and something that will hold the attention. This is a story where basically it's about a girl pricks her finger when she's 16 and falls asleep, and a prince comes and hacks down the thorny hedge that erected around the castle and kisses someone who's asleep. Now, you could say that Disney got around this problematic issue by actually having them meet in the forest prior and have a whole duet, dancing down by the river and through the glades, and then it's an arranged marriage between the kings of two lands. I like it. It's got, again, lovely songs. It is set to the music from the ballet, as Matt's pointed out, and Maleficent is one of the best villains. I don't think Briar Rose Sleeping Beauty has much to do in the plot, to be fair, apart from dance around in a funny dress, changing colors. But I think this is a near miss for me. I think this probably top 10, but I think it's near miss.
Okay, near miss, but close, but not close enough. Ollie.
Sleeping Beauty is not my favourite. My girls enjoyed the movie, and it was one of the ones that they kind of watched on repeat for a couple of weeks, and then haven't watched it again since. everything Matt says about the animation is right. It's beautiful, and the bit with the dragon at the end is amazing. But yeah, it's just not my favorite Disney film. It's not in there.
Oh, well, I'm afraid, Matt, it's not going to make it. And I would agree with the rest of the group that it's as an amazing a film as it is beautiful, and one of the best baddies that Disney have produced. Warrant of 2 sequels of her own. The film did spell the end of the golden era of Disney, before the crazy 60s stuff. I don't know, it seemed to kind of pass me by during my youth. I don't know, I didn't have any of the Disney VHSs, so it would only be the ones that I could catch on TV. But I don't really remember Sleeping Beauty that much, which is a shame. But there we go. Okay, John, do you have a nomination for us?
I did.
I'm sorry, you've already done one. Ollie, my bad.
Cool. This is my favourite Disney animated movie. It's one that we had on VHS kind of growing up, and I watched a lot of when I was young. It's based on, I want to say legend. Is it a true story? Nobody really knows. The legend of Robin Hood. So the Robin Hood Disney animation. Robin Hood is a fox. So they're all animals that kind of walk along on 2 legs. Maid Marian's a fox as well, which is convenient for the fox Robin Hood in the movie. Little John's a bear. The Sheriff of Nottingham's a big fat wolf, I think. And Prince John is like a cowardly lion. It's absolutely hilarious, the movie. There's so many great bits in it. Robin Hood and Little John end up kind of like dressing up a lot, which is great to see. Like, Robin Hood obviously famously was a fantastic archer, and it entered like an archery competition. But in order to do so, because he was a wanted man, he dresses up as a stork. So you've got a fox dressing up as a stork, and it's brilliant. There's loads of kind of great set pieces where the one that sticks out in my head from when I was young is when they're kind of like escaping from the tower, and they're kind of like sliding along the rope on the way out. It's just one that I think has got all the right amounts of humour, all the right amounts of talking animals. The story from your kind of youth of Robin Hood's really well told by Disney. So that's probably my favourite Disney animation. What do we think?
Wow, high praise indeed. Amelia, do you like Robin Hood?
Yeah, I totally agree with this. It was on my list of top Disney films. But the thing is about when you watch Robin Hood, a lot of it, if you've watched other Disney films, might feel very familiar because there was actually, it was made during Disney's financial slump. So if you look at things like Jungle Book, Aristocats, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they reused a lot of the scenes, and you can see it on the internet. There's sort of where they show particular clip from one film and then show Robin Hood. There's the bit where Little John and Lady Clark dance together, and it basically mirrors I Want to Be Like You in the Jungle Book. So they were very thrifty with this film, and I really love it, although sadly I cannot watch it because the opening whistling song my dog reacts to, so I can no longer watch this film. But it's great if I turn the mute down for the first bit, and then when the whistling's done I can watch the rest of it, because my dog just seems to think that it's somebody whistling at him. So useless fact for the day.
Okay, but just to clarify then, it's a yes for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I talk about it all day. I love it. Yes,
okay.
yes.
John.
You can see where they've cut back on the money. I mean, most of in fact, the opening sequence is a lot of white background with bits of the animated characters running through it, doing bits from the film where basically it looks like they've just whipped out the background animation, so they're kind of running through with name credits for the characters. It's I'm not too sure on this. I don't know if there's a better one of the period, but it's that whistling song, going back to where at least two others of us actually used to work. A certain manager used to whistle the song, and it used to get stuck in everybody's head. So that was fun. Yeah, I think I don't know if this is one that you remember more with nostalgia than you do actually watching it. I watched it recently, and it's kind of okay, but it kind of meanders, and it kind of goes from the one story into the other, and the other, and it doesn't quite join up. So I think I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no.
It's a no from John. Matt, what do you reckon?
I'm really ashamed to say this is one of the ones that passed me by. That there are quite a few during that period that I've never seen, and Robin Hood is one that I've never seen, unfortunately. Yeah, so I can't say yes to that one. I don't know, because you find them on the television, like, you know, every holiday that comes by, there's always, or there used to be anyway, there used to be a Disney movie on terrestrial TV before satellite, and I was never able to watch it, which is a shame, because I'm sure I would really like this one. It's right up my street, and I know that Ollie's taste in films is quite on the same line as mine. So, but unfortunately, I've not seen it. Sorry.
Okay, well, unfortunately, it won't be going in, Ollie. And it's one of my I'm not a big fan of it. I don't know why, it just never clicked with me. It's something I've heard quite a lot. Just a side note here, that a lot of girls growing up, I don't know if Amelia can confirm this, found Robin Hood very attractive as a fox, like he was a fox. Is there any truth to that?
I don't know. I mean, I actually had the opposite about Maid Marian, and that. I mean, I feel like
yes, I've heard that as well. Actually, yes, that's true. That some people found Maid Marian and Robin Hood very appealing, easy on the eye.
They were. I think that's what it is.
There's a whole subculture here.
Yeah, there is. There are clubs in London that cater for this.
Okay. Right. Moving on. So my nomination then. I'm just going to go in.
So hang on, that didn't go in. That did
not go in. No.
Okay, right.
Oodle-lally, golly, what a day.
Oh, I know the top 8. Sorry. And I could easily mix around my top 5. I don't know if anyone else is feeling the same way. But which one might stand a chance of going in? Okay, I'm going to nominate The Lion King. When I was making my top 5, it was the first film that came to mind. And I think it is the best modern Disney film. It's just got absolutely everything. It's amazing animation, a fantastic story, killing off a parent. It's the voice acting is phenomenal. A little bit uncomfortable with too many white actors voicing it, but that's probably the only thing I could say against it. It spawned, I don't know, 3 sequels so far and a musical. The music is amazing. Timon and Pumbaa are a brilliant double act. It's James Earl Jones as the father. I think it saved Disney as well. It was kind of that was the peak of the Disney revival of The Little Mermaid, and then which should I say, The Little Mermaid kicked off. The Lion King, I think, peaked Disney's 90s renaissance. So I'm going to nominate The Lion King. Amelia, what do you say?
I say yes as well. That's also on my list. I mean, you've got Darth Vader as Mufasa. I mean, what more do you need? I mean, also
Perfect.
we have to say about the Stampede sequence that took 5 people nearly 3 years with computers.
Wow.
To do that, that's such a long time for a 2.5 minute sequence, and it's something that is very important part of the story, but we probably don't give it the credit it deserves. So I say yes, and obviously, of course, the music, Elton John, fantastic.
Yes.
And it's also the only film to have been dubbed into Zulu as well. So that's my top fact of the day.
I'm loving all these facts, Amelia. Thank you.
Completely useless, but hey.
Not at all. John, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is was this kind of like the first film that they kind of wrote themselves. It's not based on a book, so it's not
question.
based on.
I've heard that as well. It's original.
Yeah, just looking
material.
Just looking quickly through. I think this is one that actually doesn't have a direct source material, and this was and basically they went for a very, very regal, very it would be Shakespearean idea for a plot. It's all about kings and princes and evil uncles. It's very pretty to look at. That opening sequence alone, when I saw that as the trailer before that got you. I mean, that was a 3-minute trailer on the front of something else, and you almost wanted to walk out after watching it because it's done. Fine, had my day. It gets a bit I don't, and not quite lost, but it just kind of meanders a bit in the middle. But I do kind of think that it works, and Jeremy Irons stretching his pipes and Rowan Atkinson doing It's a Small World After All. There's nice interplay. I think I love it. Okay. On the list, please.
Matt?
Yes, yeah. You can't not put The Lion King on there. It really is, as you said, the epitome of the glory days, the Renaissance, the golden age, second cometh of Disney. And John stole Jeremy Irons for me there. I think he steals the entire show. He's absolutely fantastic. The songs are awesome. Elton John, Tim Rice. The overall score, the orchestral score, Hans Zimmer, fantastic. It spawned what, $1 billion industry, really, hasn't it? You know, with the live action, the stage play, the umpteen retail releases. It's the juggernaut, and I think it continues to exercise its influence on modern culture today. It's got to go on the list.
Ollie, what do you think of Lion King?
Yes, love The Lion King. You guys have said it already. It's fantastic. The first, like John said, the first Disney film that didn't have that they kind of wrote themselves. There wasn't any of the kind of source material there. One thing that I brought up with when discussing The Lion King with a few people at work, probably about 6 months ago, and everyone was like, "What are you on about?" And I was like, "No, I've not made this up," because in my head it happens. And then I spoke about it, and then I sounded like a right weirdo, kind of speaking to people about it, and they're like, it's a Disney film. What are you talking about? And I was like, no. And then luckily I found the bit on YouTube and was able to prove that I'm not just some prevert. But there's like a lion sex scene in it, isn't there? You know, when like, which is weird. I mean, but it's there. It's there.
Yeah. She looks
and-
deep. Yeah, she looks deep into his eyes.
And they
as
kind
he's
of they tumble
pinned her
around and they
down.
roll down the hill.
Yeah.
This is a kids' film.
Oh, okay. What after
were
they
they
meet
thinking?
each other in the jungle?
Yeah. And then, So they meet again when they're kind of like fully
when
grown
they're older,
lions, don't they?
when they're
And
horny.
they kind of roll around and then end up in like the flowers down by the lake. It's very romantic. Don't get me wrong, but
lots of bottom sniffing.
Weirdly, that was the one song that Disney were going to cut.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you feel the love tonight was the one song they were going to cut.
Yeah, I mean, it
And
gets,
that's a great
And
song.
Elton John turned round to them and said, "You don't have a film if you cut that one." So
it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Okay.
But,
And Nathan Lane is just phenomenal. I love Nathan. I'd love to go to a West End production or a Broadway production that Nathan Lane was in. He's brilliant as did he play Pumbaa or Timon? I can't remember.
Timon.
He was Timon, wasn't he? Timon, the little skinny one. Yeah, the skinny one.
I've just had a look on IMDb. I was today years old when I realised that Matthew Broderick played Simba. I did not know that.
God! Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
okay.
Simba, yeah.
And they acted together, didn't they? In the producers on Broadway.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they both won Tonys for that, didn't they?
I did not know that.
Okay,
So,
well,
Tom?
that's our second film in.
Get in
Fantastic.
Lion King.
Okay, Amelia, what have you got?
Okay, so I'm going to be slightly controversial with this one. Bed knobs and broomsticks, because there is a lot of animation.
Was this on the
in it,
list?
So
I don't think
hey,
that...
I'm putting it on the list. I told Paul that I was going to put it on the list. So this is my. Let me.
I mean,
let me
Phil.
talk you through it.
Well, I was going to say you're going to put this on the list. You've got to put the prequel on.
Look, don't listen to Phil McCracken. He's not part of this podcast.
Oh,
It's on the list. It's on the list. No. She's fine. I'm looking to.
Well, look, if you can put Mary Poppins in here, because Mary Poppins got animated Disney stuff in it, then I'm sure you can put on.
It is
Bed
on the
knobs and
list
broomsticks.
on Wikipedia. If you look on Wikipedia, list of Disney theatrical animated feature films, it is actually on there.
Is it a classic?
It's under that comes under related.
No,
yeah,
it's
it's
there.
definitely not. It's not on the.
Here's the
the
thing.
This is a
There is a lot
first.
of
This is a pod
animation.
first. This.
Oh,
Sorry,
Controversial, I
Amelia.
know, but shall I just tell you why I like it?
Yeah,
And then
please
you
do, please do.
Hey, you can vote it out if you like, but I've put it on the list. I put it there. So I mean, you've got Angela Lansbury, Murder She Wrote. You know, she was fantastic in it. Also, you've got David Tomlinson, Amelia Brown. I mean, there are a lot of fake Cockney accents in it, but it's such a great film, and it is still very timeless. Like all the fit, I mean, as well as the animation, a lot of amazing songs in the animated section. And you've got the football game. And there's further on, which obviously we can't really count, but there's all the physical effects as well. And some of it was filmed at near Corfe Castle, which is somewhere that is very special to my heart. So again, I think it's controversial, but I still feel because there is a very large animated section that it should be included in today's podcast.
Okay. I will defer to my colleagues over this then.
You're gonna let them
John?
tell me no.
John, does this warrant a place on the list?
first of all, I'm going to say that I absolutely love this film. I grew up watching it. Again, the VHS on the shelf. But this time it was at my grandparents, and it was one of the few children's children's VHSs that they had at the time. Had the old yellow spine.
The rest was all adult movies.
Well, as opposed to the John Wayne movies that my grandfather liked.
Yeah.
And the musicals, which we've already done. I love it. It's actually it was the spiritual sequel to Mary Poppins, because they wanted to do the Mary Poppins sequel, but they spent so long messing around with rights and things like that that they just decided to go with this instead. I find the three kids annoying. They've got those nasty, scratchy, really bad accents. But actually, I really like it. But here's the question: it's not a full-length animated classic. And if we had done Disney films, I would have said yes. And as I would say yes to Mary Poppins as well. But unfortunately, I'm going to say that it isn't one of the full-length animated classic films. So no, I disqualify it.
Okay, Matt.
I'm with John. I really love this film. It was one of those films that I grew up with. And Amelia, I totally feel you on this one. I absolutely adore this movie. And it's one of those ones that I loved along with, do you remember Escape from Witch Mountain?
Yes.
Which was another Disney live action movie around sort of the mid 70s. I loved that as well. Absolutely adored them. And do you know what, Amelia? I'm going to stick with you and say yes. Let's put it on. Because I love it, and it has got an animated sequence in it, and so is Mary Poppins, which I'm now not going to mention because it won't get voted on. But I thought we were going to add those. So I'm with you. Yeah.
Okay, Ollie.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I love Bedknobs and Broomsticks too. There's always a bit which makes me kind of inappropriately laugh out loud, and it's the little lad, the blonde lad, and he's got his bed knob, isn't he? And at one point, I can't remember exactly what he says. He's like, "Oi, don't touch my knob," and it makes me crease up every time.
Is that the bit with Bruce Forsyth in the bad guy's lair, in the bookman's lair?
Oh yeah, I don't know if it is that bit, but he definitely tells somebody to like keep their hands off his knob, which makes me crack up. But I'm going to say no, because then that makes Chris have to decide whether it goes on the list.
Thanks.
Chris thought he got out of this.
I, like everyone else, agrees that Bedknobs and Broomsticks is a fantastic film. I love the film. I grew up watching it. The Nazis versus witches, come on. And the Traguna McCoy's Tricorum Satis D spell.
Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the film is amazing. The animated sequence is very good. It's just not long enough to justify it being on this list. Sorry, Amelia.
Oh, that's right.
Substitutionary locomotion.
Musical just about to start. I think they're touring it rather than the West End.
Yes, yes.
John, what have you got for another nomination?
Okay, I'm going to go for another recent one, and I think this is fairly grown up, kind of backed by the recent remake, the live action remake of it, which went a lot more into the cultural background, where it's from, where the story comes from. And the most recent one plays like a almost like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I like Mulan. This is one of those films which it actually has a reasonable, actual proper story to it, and it feels like it's got proper stakes to it, and it pays a lot of lip service. And I think the thing about Disney animations and things like that, and and also kids films, they kind of play with stereotypes as shorthand. I don't think it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just a quick way for getting everyone on board. That said, I think that I feel this is more sympathetic than a lot of the older ones would have been. The story of a young girl who goes to war, goes to join the Chinese army because her father is basically injured and can't go. And if she's discovered, she will be summarily killed for deception. And ends up taking on the Hun army, and it's almost like the opening of Captain America. Steve Rogers turning from skinny wimp into a hero before having the.
I missed the bit where they injected her with the serum.
Yeah, well, no, just before that bit, they
took care of that off screen. That happened off screen.
Well, there's the bit where I'll make a man out of you, the training montage, and at the end of that, she's being sent away by the commanding officer, and there's an arrow that's been put at the top of the pole, and it's a case of by the end, one of you will be able to get that, and she works out how to do it without digging her teeth into the wood like one of the guys does, as the commanding officer walks out of his tent in the morning as the sun rises, she shoots the arrow into the floor by his feet, and she's sitting there on the top of the pole. I think this honor. It's got great themes in it. It kind of pushing the idea that just by the end it's a case, well, she may be a woman, but she's actually really good. She's actually good at what she does, sort of thing. She gets the guys out of scrapes. The whole avalanche sequence, which is very, very comparable to the Stampede sequence from The Lion King. That's her using the last rocket to get them out, get her crew out of trouble. I think I love the music, the actual, not necessarily the songs, but actually the soundtrack in between. Especially when she decides to actually go off to join the training camp to go and do it. It's all really upbeat and powerful and strong. It just gets you. It works for me. And of course, you've got Eddie Murphy doing Eddie Murphy as a talking dragon, but even he actually doesn't spoil it. He plays it. It's Eddie Murphy, but turned down to good Disney. He basically he's allowed to shine through.
None of that nonsense.
Eddie Murphy shines through. Yeah, but Eddie Murphy shines through, like Robin Williams did with the genie. So. But yeah,
Okay.
I think Mulan.
Amelia, what do you think of Mulan?
I don't think I've ever watched Mulan all the way through, but I did have the video game on my Game Boy Color, and I played that religiously. I'm going to say no because that was a very frustrating game, and I haven't seen the film, so I'm. I didn't say it had to be logical.
I love that.
I just had to give it.
I love that reason. It's fantastic logic. Matt, do you like Mulan?
It was just off my list. It's a film of two halves for me. I love the dramatic side of the film. I don't like the score and I don't like the songs. And I actually think they did a really good job making the live action version with a non music and lyrics film. I'm really glad they just went with the dramatic side of it. I do like it. It's not one of my favorites, unfortunately.
Okay, Ollie, what do you think of Mulan?
I haven't seen it for years. I think I watched it once, maybe not long after it came out on VHS or something. But I'm going to have to say no. It's not one that's stuck in my memory.
It's a good film.
Yeah, I think the kids have watched it recently, but not with me. But yeah, I'm going to have to say no.
I'm sorry, John. Mulan has not made it in. And I was going to say that I've not actually seen it. I'm really embarrassed to say. It's one of the few that I've not seen. So I should really watch it, shouldn't I? Okay, Matt, what's your second nomination?
Hold on a second. There we go. So Mulan isn't. I'm going to stick with the classics. Little to everyone's kind of like size of disgust. Yeah, going back again beyond 1980. I'm going to give you the cutesy, the beautiful, the bumbling, the furry, the Winnie the Pooh, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh from 1977. It's probably going to be a really not a particularly good choice. It is a movie that is segmented and that is basically 3 short films edited together to make one film. Each of those short stories was made at different times with different varying animation techniques. And for that reason, it in itself doesn't make a cohesive film, but I think the whole A.A. Milne, Winnie the Pooh character and all these subsidiary characters just make the film for me. They're made up of 3 stories. So as I said, you've got Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree. You've got Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, and you've got Winnie the Pooh and Tigger too. And as I said, all the characters that go along with A.A. Milne's Winnie the Pooh. You've got Tigger, Piglet, Eeyore, Christopher Robin, Kangaroo. You've got Owl. They're all so well known and they're so well balanced and well scripted that it's just who can resist Winnie the Pooh? He's just this beautiful, bumbling, awesome character that is just someone that you would if as my kids were and as I was growing up having seen this, I just wanted a Winnie the Pooh bear to cuddle going to bed, and it was just brilliant. The bear with no brain. The voice acting in the 70s throughout the Disney films, there's obviously, as there are these, well, not to the same effects. These days you get a very well-known cast to come in and get paid a lot of money to voice the characters in animated movies, but back then you used to get the same Disney stock actors to come in and voice the actors throughout all the different animated films. And Winnie the Pooh's voice is so recognizable. It is just one of those iconic voices that is copied by actors coming in to voice later incarnations of Winnie the Pooh. And they did a Winnie the Pooh recently as a whole new Disney. I think was it recently? Was it the last sort of 3 or 4 years ago? I think it was. Yep. And going back to this Winnie the Pooh in the 70s, it's just brilliant. The animation has got that Disney 70s animation, which is quite sparse, where they reuse a lot of character models and animations, which they change slightly to fit the story or the animation style that they're producing at that time. I just love it. It's funny. It's sweet. It's witty. It's heartfelt. There's funny scenes where Winnie the Pooh just eats too much honey and gets stuck in Rabbit's burrow hole and he can't get out. And then the next 25 minutes of that segment is just everybody trying to pull Winnie the Pooh out of Rabbit's hole, if you excuse how I described it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. My kids loved it as they were growing up. It was the last film that Walt Disney had personal involvement in, or one of the segments, or 2 of the segments of the 3 was the last time that Walt Disney himself had any sort of involvement in, whether it was overseeing or directing or key animation or what have you. And the last segment about Tigger is just fantastic. I mean, Tigger, the guy who voiced Tigger, I wrote his name down. Paul Winchell is just hilarious. I could watch Tigger story all day long, you know. And as soon as my kids were old enough, I was searching out all the, you know, the straight to video Tigger movies that Disney made, because that character is just brilliant. I mean, they all are. Eeyore as well is just fantastic. But those three stories were so ingrained into my psyche as I was growing up. You know, it's incredibly nostalgic to me now, and going back and watching them again with the kids as they grew up was just absolutely wonderful. So it probably won't get on, but Winnie the Pooh from 1977.
Okay, Amelia, have you seen Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah, I've not. I think I may have seen it when I was younger. I love Winnie the Pooh, so I'm going to say yes to that
That's
one.
a yes from Amelia. John?
Yeah, this is one of the films I saw. I've seen it a couple of times over the years. Again, school holidays in the mornings. It's kind of been on because I'm that sort of age. I like the character. I love Tigger. My mum's a big Tigger fan as well. I don't know on this one, to be fair.
Is it on your top?
No,
many?
it's not. It's kind of one that I kind of skipped over, so I think I'm going to have to say no. It's
Okay.
not. Yeah.
Ollie?
I don't think I've ever watched this as a whole thing, but I feel like I've seen the bits of it. Were they ever kind of released as like?
You would never have seen them individually.
Parts?
No, you would never have seen them.
No,
I think
well,
if you'd have caught it,
I must be thinking of some other.
Well, you may, yeah. They did a lot
bits.
they did a lot of straight to video alternate stories, but the three cool ones.
I've certainly never sat down and watched this through, so I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say no. But on the subject of all things Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin and A.A. Milne, have you ever watched the movie Goodbye Christopher Robin? It's incredible. It's really, look that up. Goodbye Christopher Robin. It's got Margot Robbie playing Christopher Robin's mum. Domhnall Gleeson plays Christopher Robin's dad, A.A. Milne, and it's very, very emotional, very moving, fantastic. It tells you the story of like a young Christopher Robin's life and his father kind of creating these stories. And you kind of see young Christopher Robin kind of growing up, but it is, yes, I'd say it's a sad story. So you have to be in the mood for a sad story, but definitely look up Goodbye Christopher Robin. Not the Christopher Robin one with Ewan McGregor. Although that was quite good as well.
I actually quite like that one as well. But
but this one particularly is a fantastic movie. So.
Okay, I'm with you, Ollie. I have these vague recollections of seeing certainly the last bit, the Tigger one, but I didn't go into the cinema to see a Winnie the Pooh film, and I don't know. I only ever seem to remember seeing these short TV episodes, kind of thing. I'm a Piglet fan myself, although I did kind of grow up with the books and stuff and being read stories. But it's a no for me, Matt, I'm afraid. Sorry. Okay, where are we at? Ollie, have you got a second nomination?
I have. This one's an absolute banger, and I'll be surprised / gutted if this one isn't on the list. It's got the best songs of any Disney movie ever. Like, everybody knows all the lyrics to all the songs from this. Chris is smiling. He knows what I'm going to say. It's The Jungle Book. I think even though it was in that kind of 70s, let's reuse the animation era, I still think it's a fantastic kind of looking movie. The story of the young boy Mowgli, who kind of gets brought up by the wolves. And the wolves don't really feature much in this version of Jungle Book, but it doesn't really detract from the story. He's kind of mostly kind of looked after by Bagheera and then Baloo the bear. Yeah, it's absolutely chock block full of humour. All the songs are absolutely fantastic. Yeah, this is up there as one of my favourites. Yeah, my second favourite Disney animated movie, The Jungle Book.
Amelia, what do you think about The Jungle Book?
Oh yeah, I when I was into dance as a kid, and I ended up dancing along to a lot of the Jungle Book songs. So I will definitely say yes. It's a really feel good film. Although I think possibly that's where my hatred of snakes may also spring from, because that it did, yeah, certain scenes in the Jungle Book did freak me out a lot. So it's a yes for me.
Okay, John.
Yeah, I like this one. Yeah, it is a classic. Like you said, all the songs are bangers. And yeah, there isn't really much more to say. It's just really good.
Okay, Jungle Book has made it in. Matt, do you agree?
I do agree. Yes, that would have gone in. As an overall movie, I don't enjoy it as much as some of the others, but I think for me, the music and the songs and the lyrics in that just sell it. It just it's probably got one of the greatest soundtracks of all Disney movies, with songs and lyrics as well. So yeah, for me it's a yes.
Okay, so it has got 4 votes. I personally wouldn't have put it in. I think it is a great soundtrack, and yes, everyone knows all the songs, which are fantastic. But I don't know. Yeah, it just didn't grip me when I was young. The film as a whole didn't. Obviously, the scenes where they were singing and dancing were brilliant and unforgettable. But doesn't matter because it's already through. So it's to me now, isn't it? Okay, so we have 3 so far. I am going to put in as a nomination Beauty and the Beast. It's my number 2. I have a strong affinity for this film. It not so much from my childhood, actually. I've grown to love it more and more as I've grown older. I think it's a great story. Also, another good crack from Disney on Stockholm Syndrome. And it deals with a young woman who grows up in a small French village, and she ends up going to a castle where this prince has been cursed by an old woman, and he's been turned into a beast, and he imprisons her in there, and then they fall in love. What I have noticed, actually, just reeling off that little plot there, that I don't think any of us actually bothered so far to say what any of the plots were. Pretty much, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but I
don't think we need to. I think they're all
exactly. Yes.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows the stories, don't they?
Yes. So the songs are fantastic. It produced a musical, and it was the first Disney film to use computer-generated effects for the scene. It was the ballroom scene.
Yeah,
it's the camera spinning around.
It's the first Pixar.
Yes.
First use of Pixar.
Involvement of Pixar.
Yeah.
And what a shrewd move that was from Disney. So such memorable songs, a great baddie in Gaston, I love that film. That's my pick. Amelia, what do you think about Beauty and the Beast?
So again, I'm going to be controversial, and I liked Beauty and the Beast growing up, but actually I prefer the live action version.
You mean the auto-tuned one? Sorry, carry on.
Yes, I actually, to be fair, I prefer the Beauty and the Beast, the live action version. So I'm going to say no. And I mean, having said that, Luke Evans as Gaston is pretty good. And also Dan Stevens, I think he was fantastic in that. I mean, no one realized that he had that amazing voice. So, and if you look behind the scenes of him, what he was actually dressed like before he was animated on, that is a video that everyone needs to see on the internet. So sadly no, but only because the live version has taken a bigger place in my heart. So sorry about that, Chris.
That's quite right. John, what do you think of Beauty and the Beast?
This is going on the list for me because it makes my wife cry. Both versions made my wife cry.
Always something good to aspire for, making your wife cry.
Shout out to Jerry Orbach for his turn as Lumiere, because he is amazing. Angela Lansbury doing Taylor's Oldest Time. She did not want to do that song. They conned her in doing one take, and that's the take. No messing, just that's how she did it that one time, and that's how it ended up in the film, and it's perfect. It's brilliant. Gaston is great, and Le Fou messing around. I like the remake. I like the live action retelling, but I'm not quite there on it. To be fair, just to quickly address the remakes, I kind of find that they kind of lack a bit of the heart that the original animations have. For me, there's something just that little bit missing that just kind of misses the target. It almost feels like people go and see this. It almost feels a bit cynical. It feels like a cash grab. No, it's not that they're not done well, but it just does feel like something's missing.
In the majority of those, I would agree. I think Beauty and Beast for me is the exception, but yes, some Aladdin.
Aladdin was the one that I just looked at that and thought, this just looks like a movie set. Do you know what I mean? It's just some of the Disney kind of live action remakes, that's okay because it's a Disney kind of setting. Like with the Beauty and the Beast one, when they're in the kind of like this little French village, it does look like a movie set, but it works. Whereas I don't know, with Aladdin, you kind of want it to look like the Middle East, and it doesn't. So.
Yeah. Yes to the animated version of Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, Matt.
Okay, yeah. So yes. That's a yes. Why you've got to put a film in that's got a talking candelabra in it? It's fantastic, brilliant. And shout out to the original Beauty and the Beast, Jean Cocteau. If anyone wants to go back to the silent era French film, Jean Cocteau, Beauty and the Beast, very, very good. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I like the songs, very good, beautifully animated. It's aged a little bit, but then, it was on that cusp of CGI and hand-drawn animation before they perfected it all, which they did with Tangled. Tangled was the perfection of everything as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, fantastic film. Got to go in, really, classic.
Cool. Ollie, what do you reckon?
It's made the list, hasn't it? But
it has, yeah.
I'd have said no. It was one of my sister's favourites, probably my sister's favourite Disney movie. She's a few years younger than me. Maybe because of that, I then saw it as a girls' movie. I don't know. I think a lot of the Disney films that are kind of princess-centric or kind of the main kind of hero of the movie is either a princess or a young woman. So I sometimes feel that those Disney movies then do appeal to young girls more than they do to young boys, and probably I think that this one falls a little bit into that. Although it is a great movie, and I think it does work for most people, it's not one of my favourites.
Okay, I can relate to you on the sister thing. I had a distinct hatred of Little Mermaid for years. because it was my sister's favorite film. Amelia, do you have another nomination for us?
Yes, I do. So it is a full-length feature animation this time. So I'm going to go for something that, yes, it's not Mary Poppins. So I'm going to go for one that I feel is very underrated, but is still excellent, and that is The Emperor's New Groove, which was in 2000. So it's kind of in the Disney wilderness years where it wasn't considered very successful, but it is an amazing film. There is a lot of adult humor in there. You go, oh, is that really in a Disney film? There's a lot of great people in it as well. There's John Goodman as Pacha. It's also the first Disney animated feature to show a pregnant woman. There's actually a line from Grease in it, where his wife says, "Coming through, lady with a baby." That is a line that was originally in Grease. And it's just a fantastic film. And of course, Kronk is the most amazing character. Bless him, he's hunky, big, with a brain the size of a pea, and he says hilarious things. So, and it's about a prince that turns into is cursed, and he turns into a llama, and he realizes that he needs to grow up a bit and be less immature and be nice to people. So, Emperor's New Groove is what I would like to nominate.
Okay, John, what do you reckon to Emperor's New Groove?
I watched this recently, actually. Not necessarily for this. I'd seen it before, but I kind of needed a reminder. And David Spade as the Emperor is very witty, very quick, and very good. I mean, he would have been a very good choice, kind of like a genie sort of Mushu type character. But as the lead, he kind of lets go. They kind of let him go. It's great because it's also self-referential. I mean, he's breaking the fourth wall all the time, popping up and circling. That's me there. No, we're talking about me there, not talking about him there. This is this story about me, not about Pasha. Eartha Kitt is brilliant. She gives a wonderful performance, and Patrick Warburton, the voice of the Tick, and so many other characters, and he as Kronk is great. He does the talking with the squirrels in this one, doesn't he?
Yes, and that's hilarious.
Yeah,
like literally everything he does is hilarious.
Yes, and it's and kind of, and there's pratfalls in it as well, which don't quite go the way you think they're going to go. This was the Disney film that Sting wrote all his songs for, and they decided not to use them. Ooh. One made it in, but they actually found that basically the film kind of stands up on its own, and I can kind of see why they didn't want to mess around by adding songs to it. But I think he got one song in for the end credits. It trips along nicely. Yeah, I put this on the list. It's top 10 for me.
Okay, 2 for Emperor's New Groove. Matt, what do you reckon to that film?
Never seen it.
Never seen it.
Never seen it. No, sorry, never seen it.
You should. It is really good.
I know it's one of those ones. I don't have Disney Plus. I don't have access to it. I have been told it's very, very good, though. I have been told it's very good. It's one of those ones that I would hopefully see at some point.
Ollie?
I remember watching this at the cinema and thinking it was the funniest Disney film I'd ever seen at that point. Again, I think I took my younger sister to go and see it, and I thought, oh, this is another Disney movie that is going to be perfect for her. She's a few years younger than me, but for me, probably isn't going to be for me. So I went in with very low expectations, and actually I laughed pretty much throughout the whole thing. In my head, for some reason, it was Michael J. Fox that played the Emperor, but it's not. It's David Spade. It is not in my top 5, but it is in that little group that sits just outside it, and it is hilarious. And I don't think my kids have ever watched this one, so I think next time we have a movie night, I'm going to suggest this. And I think what will sell it to them will be the fact that the main character turns into a llama. So I'm looking forward to watching this one again with my kids. But yeah, it's serious, and I will say yes.
Okay, so thanks to Ollie, it has gone in. And unfortunately, like Matt, I have not seen this one. It seems to be this little chunk in the early 2000s of Disney stuff that just, or was it late 90s, early 2000s? That
Yeah,
just,
so in 2000.
yeah, just did not get to see. But it's in anyway.
Okay.
John,
Ollie, can you name the film that Michael J. Fox is in?
the
Fox
Disney
and the
film.
Hound.
Yeah.
Fox and the Hound.
Is he?
No.
No, I can't. Then. No. What was it?
Atlantis.
Oh, it's a good film.
Yeah, he's the lead. He's the nerd in Atlantis. He's the geek in Atlantis.
Was that around the same kind of time? It must have been. That's perhaps why I got them mixed up.
Just quickly have a look.
It was.
Yeah, it was the one that came after.
Ah,
So Atlantis: The Lost Empire is the Michael J. Fox one.
right, so we have our 5. Tangled, Lion King, Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, Emperor's New Groove. John, can you add a 6th to that list?
Yeah, I think I can, and I'd be surprised if I got much pushback on this one. Again, this one's been remade live action a few times, and it has some like it's iconic, but not for its main characters. It is another I'm going to say mid-70s. Just checking my notes, and it's 61 in fact. It is the one where it starts off with a boy dog and a girl dog and their owners, and then they end up with 101 of them. 101 Dalmatians. The main selling point on this, obviously, is Cruella de Vil, a fairly modern, thoroughly irredeemable woman who drives like a maniac, believes the world revolves around her, and skins puppies for clothes, which back in the 60s and when the story was originally written was probably a reasonably common practice. Not anymore, obviously, which is actually played on in the new version of Cruella. It is it's another one of the right, the guy's name who started kind of doing it all, the style, I believe, was probably Wolfgang Reitherman, and he's the guy, and this was kind of his period from Sleeping Beauty all the way to, he did the Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and the Rescuers. So actually most of the 70s he was, if not the director, at least part of the directing team. And this has got a style to it. Which is it's dirty, it's arty, it's line drawings, especially when it comes to the buildings in London. And Cruella de Vil is a lovely song. It kind of sums up an entire film and an entire character in 2.5 minutes. I love Horace. I love the 2 henchmen who are quoting the Security of the Realm Act to break into the house to check the gas when it says electricity board on their bags. I like the fact that they haven't got any ether either. And the fact that they're watching a TV program called What's My Crime, where one of their mates is trying to win a holiday once he's on parole. I like this one. It's it's a definite favorite in our house. A bit worried about Cruella trying to make Cruella into a nice person. Yeah, I think 101 Dalmatians.
Okay, 101 Dalmatians. Amelia, do you like that film?
I mean, I was having watched Cruella probably in the last week or so. I found that quite confusing, to be honest, because it was sort of rewriting a lot of the original 101 Dalmatians. So I found that quite confusing to watch because obviously growing up, Cruella de Vil was like one of the big baddies of my childhood. And then again, when it was remade into the live action version with Glenn Close, again, that haunted my nightmares for quite a few weeks. So I would say yes, but it feels like at the moment that that like with Aladdin and like we've discussed, some of the films that we enjoyed as a kid, looking at adults, you can see some very glaring issues with them, and it's sort of how you go forward with that, because it's the childhood nostalgia versus stereotypes and things that are not very good. So I will say yes, but I'm interested to see like how Disney will take this character forward and whether they will continue to rewrite her journey and her story.
Okay, so I mean, there's a yes, Matt.
I'm not a fan. No, sorry, just not a fan. It's never clicked with me. 101 Dalmatians. I do like the 70s, late 60s and 70s period of Disney. I do like that style of animation that they adopted on the cheap. I enjoy The Rescuers. I do enjoy films from that period, but for some reason, 101 Dalmatians never clicked to me. I like the bad guys, the Dumb and Dumber bad guys that are chasing. But yeah, for me, it's not. It was never even on my list.
Ollie.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorites. My kids really love it, but yeah, it's not one of my top Disney animations, I'm afraid.
And yeah, same with me, John. I'm afraid. I prefer the Simpsons episode. I really
Fee
like
my vest. Fee my vest.
It is a good film, and I do have fond memories of watching it growing up. But yeah, that kind of style that you were talking about just never clicked with me. I've really struggled to appreciate the Disney 70s canon. Yeah, okay. So Matt, are we staying classical still, or have we got anything more contemporary?
Let's stay classical, shall we?
Okay.
Let's go even further back. Let's go all the way back.
Let's
Where
go.
We're not going into the 30s though. We're staying in the 40s. We're going to go with animated film number 2 with Pinocchio, The Adventures of Pinocchio, Carlo Collodi's Italian Adventures of Pinocchio, or as Disney made into just Pinocchio, the animated musical fantasy from 1940. Love it. Jiminy Cricket, Geppetto, Pinocchio. I love everything about it. I think it's for me, it's more of a classic than Snow White. I think it's just magnificent. It's pioneered so many techniques that would go on to be staples. It was, I mean, this is 1940. This is, you can say it's pre-war. It's during the war. It's just fantastic. It's one of those films I never tire of watching at all. Wow, it's just a great film. It's got to go in. It was one of those ones that was on my list, and I was like, I might not talk about it. Hopefully, someone will bring it up who can talk about it in a little bit more depth than I can. But yeah, for me, Pinocchio is the pinnacle of Disney.
Wow, Amelia, do you agree?
Again, it's one I haven't watched a lot, but I do really enjoy it, and I think I've tap danced as Pinocchio in my former days as a child dancer. Yeah, I led a very strange life. So I would say yes, and that is the film that contains When You Wish Upon a Star.
It
Is
is.
that
Yes.
right? Am I thinking
The
right?
Disney
Yeah, that is
logo theme. Yeah.
exactly the one that you hear when you go to Disneyland Paris. You hear it repeatedly, and it is a very beautiful song. So I will say yes.
It's quite
to that.
dark. Yeah, it's got a lot of dark things in this film as well.
Yeah, just
Uh,
so-
Taking young boys to pleasure islands. Yeah.
John, what do you make of Pinocchio?
Yeah. Yes, I have no strings, which is Ultron, and following the Blue Fairy, which is AI. This has definitely got a lot of references in its time, especially when it comes to robot movies and AI movies. Again, it's not one I've watched a lot, but it's one that kind of leaves an indelible mark. Watching kids turning into donkeys, and Nostromo is just a big whale big enough to eat boats, just kind of, and actually the ending is a proper downer before the big cheer erupts. So I think it should go in.
Okay. Ollie, what do you reckon? It is through, by the way, I should say.
Oh, okay, cool. I'd have said yes as well. It's just outside my kind of top 5. I really liked Pinocchio growing up. I watched it a lot as a kid. With the boys when they go to Pleasure Island, he's such a sweet kind of boy, isn't he, Pinocchio? And he's so easily kind of misled and manipulated. And it's because like everything's new to him. Everything is instantly new to him. So someone tells him something, he's got no reason to distrust them. So you go on this journey of this poor, like innocent little wooden boy, and everybody's taking advantage of him. And then he thinks it's his fault that all these bad things have happened because he's been like making these poor decisions. It's a really, really sweet movie, and it should be on our list, I think.
Okay, and I would agree with the rest of you. I didn't have it on my list, but Matt, you've sold me on it, and I do have fond and disturbing memories of Pinocchio growing up. That scene, as John mentioned, of them being turned into donkeys is absolute nightmare fuel. And yeah, I can still picture it right now, and I haven't seen Pinocchio in years.
You haven't done anything bad since either, have you? Because you were worried that if you did,
yes,
that would happen. Yeah.
And I mean, how many times do people still reference, your nose growing if you're lying? That's etched into pop culture. Great. Well, that's number 6. Do we have anything that we can agree on to go in as our number 7 before we carry on? Is there anything that we've not mentioned that deserves to be?
I've got one that needs to be there.
Hit us.
Dumbo. It's such a sweet movie. You've got mother like elephants like bullying other mother elephants. It's really sad, and then these little Dumbo's been taken away from her, and then she puts her trunk through it's absolutely heartbreaking and moving. You've got the whole the whole sequence where he gets drunk, and there's like the
pink
balloon elephants. It's amazing.
That was meant to be in Fantasia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that scene.
The live action remake is absolutely beautiful as well. But yeah, just go back to the animation. It's fantastic. It's moving. It's 1940, so it's just before Pinocchio, I believe.
Oh, did I get that wrong? Sorry.
No.
It's just after.
Okay.
Oh, just
Snow
after.
White,
Sorry.
Snow White,
1940,
Pinocchio,
right.
Dumbo. I think that's the.
Okay. Yeah. So really early days in like the Disney setup, but straight off the bat they were getting it right, weren't they? And I think Dumbo is a lovely movie. It holds up just like Pinocchio, just like Snow White does, holds up today, and is still as meaningful to kids watching it for the first time today. So I think Dumbo should take that last spot on our list.
I'm struggling to remember how this works. Is it a unanimous vote? That
I think
needs-
number
No.
seven should have been somebody else. The next person after me to vote should have been doing number 7.
Okay,
And number
Is
8,
that
Which I think was me anyway.
which is Ollie anyway.
Was
yes.
it Ollie anyway? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Apologies. Yeah. Okay, should we vote on? Should we vote on?
Sure.
on,
Okay,
on Dumbo
Amelia,
then, yeah.
do you like Dumbo?
I'm going to say
Enough
no
to-
because it traumatized me as a child. So no.
Did
Sorry.
What good Disney film
Which
didn't?
part? Which part? Which part?
It was the bit where he was all
Oh, with
dressed up as a clown. And
the
then
mum
he was
d-
standing about, and then
Oh,
he was the
yeah, that's
Shining
horrible,
Daughter,
yeah.
Yeah,
and
that is sad.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then Bambi, same thing. I
But some
can't
people,
forget
sometimes
that
elephants
either.
just need a push, don't they? They need to believe a little bit.
Well, they
That's how I
didn't.
was
They
taught
didn't
to
give him a
swim.
push. They smacked him off with a plank.
Yeah.
A push, yeah.
It was with love. It was all right.
John.
It is a heartbreaking movie. I also believe it's kind of only about 80 minutes long as well. It's
Yeah,
it's
one of the
fairly quick.
shortest.
It's yeah. It's kind of one of in my top 10. So yeah, go on, because
Okay.
it's what it is. It's one of those that plays with your heartstrings, and it's about the outsider making good, and yeah.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, it's a bit of a toss up between this and Bambi for me. I'm always on the fence. I do like Dumbo a lot. I think it's very sweet. It's mercifully short as well, which I like. It's yeah, it's heartbreaking. It has all those Disney elements. I mean, if you were Disney really knocked it out of the park, didn't they? After Snow White, they really kicked it home with a lot of those films that they made, even going onwards towards Peter Pan and upwards from there. Yeah, let's put it on. I'm
All
happy
right.
to put it on. Yeah.
So it has made it. It would have been a no from me, purely because I think there are better films from that era, Pinocchio being one of them. Although I do love the film. It's probably because it is so dark that I kind of went, yeah, quite traumatizing, Amelia. I agree. Okay, that is our 7 then. Do we have any Black Hawk Down films that could slip in there as an 8, or are we happy with our 7? I'll just run through the 7.
Okay, sorry.
Dumbo, Tangled, Lion King, Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, Emperor's New Groove, and Pinocchio. Is there anything that we have missed that really should go on?
I think Matt's just mentioned one which I would have liked to have
Bambi.
seen
Bambi.
find its way close in Peter Pan.
Okay.
So yeah, that's another family. That's actually another family favorite. The boy who never grows up, running off, taking the 3 children who've been told their stories to Neverland to run with the Lost Boys and play all day while being chased by pirates. Yeah, I think I would have liked to have seen. I'd say that Peter Pan's should be up there as well.
Does anyone agree with John on Peter Pan?
I do. Yeah, I agree. Peter Pan's on my list.
Amelia?
Probably not, because I can think of better films that I enjoy more. Sorry, John.
Ollie?
Yeah, no, for me, it's a great movie, but no, it's not
Fair enough.
my favourite.
Yes, it's not for me either. Okay, if we're happy with that list, and there's nothing else. Oh, Matt, yes.
Yeah. Does anyone like Moana for the list?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, quite like Moana.
So
Dwayne Johnson. I've got nothing to say about it apart from that it's absolutely fantastic. And Dwayne Johnson singing, for God's sake, he's got going.
Yeah,
And,
Lin-Manuel. Yeah, and Lin-Manuel Miranda seems to be on contract now for
That's the
Disney
guy.
writing songs.
That's the guy. Yeah, that's the guy.
I
And
really like.
it's got. If anyone's seen the animated film, not by Disney, Rio, the bad bird in Rio also does the crab. Is it the crab demon? I can't remember.
Yes, it's
Jermaine
Jermaine
Clement.
Jamaica.
Yeah,
He's
it's one of the Concords.
fantastic. He's fantastic.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd happily like vote up Moana without a doubt. I think it should.
Okay,
I think,
it's in. All right, Moana's our number 8 spot. Okay, so I'll just run through them again then. So we've got Pinocchio, Lion King, Tangled, Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, Emperor's New Groove, Dumbo, and Moana. So Amelia, what film should be eliminated at this point?
I'd say Dumbo.
Dumbo. John.
I could. Yeah, I could lose Dumbo. Yeah.
Okay. Matt.
Purely based on the fact I haven't seen it, Emperor's New Groove. Sorry, I'm sure it's really brilliant, but I just haven't seen it.
Ollie.
I'd have said Beauty and the Beast.
Okay. And I'll say Dumbo. Okay. So
is that Dumbo off?
Dumbo is gone. So Pinocchio, Tangled, Moana, Lion King, Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, Emperor's New Groove. Matt, you said Emperor's New Groove, or Ollie, you said Beauty and the Beast. Amelia, what would you put number 6? So we're not in our top 5 yet.
Be number 7, wouldn't it? We've got 8.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yes, 7.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 7. Number 7.
Oh,
What's going off next?
Beauty and the Beast, probably. Sorry.
John.
Pinocchio.
And Ollie said okay. And I'm going to say, because I haven't seen it, Emperor's New Groove. So who's not voted now? Am I missing someone? John, you said, Matt, you said Emperor's New Groove. Ollie and Amelia. So John, Emperor's New Groove or Beauty and the Beast?
Emperor's New Groove.
Okay. Right. Okay, we're down to our 5 then. So in no particular order.
6. We've still got
6.
Oh. Okay. Ollie and Amelia have said Beauty and the Beast. John, you said Pinocchio. Matt.
Ay. Oh, Jungle Book.
I agree, John. Matt, sorry. So it's Jungle Book for me. Right. And does John have the deciding vote again? Because it's 2 for Beauty and the Beast, 2 for Jungle Book.
He does.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay,
Yes.
John, you have the deciding vote again.
Jungle Book.
Okay. That's number 6.
We're just siding through the classics here, aren't we?
Ollie, you still got to the 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, no one said the F word.
Yeah.
No, we haven't, have
a lot
we?
of people
No.
hating.
No.
Frozen's not in it.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
So this is Matt. You vote now.
Am I voting?
Well, we've got our top 5. Do you
No,
want to
We do. We do.
Yeah.
Pinocchio, Tangled, Moana, or Lion King, Beauty and the Beast.
Is it my vote? Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast.
To go. Okay,
To
or
go,
rather,
yeah.
number 5. Okay.
5.
So that's 3 votes. So that's Beauty and the Beast at number 5. What would I have voted for? I'd say Pinocchio. Okay. Ollie, what would you put as number 4?
I'd put Pinocchio at number 4.
Pinocchio. Amelia?
Yeah, I agree. Pinocchio at number 4.
And Matt?
Tangled.
And I've already voted. John's already voted Pinocchio. So Pinocchio is number 4. John, what would you put as number 3?
I'm going to say Moana.
Okay. Amelia?
Yeah, I agree. Moana.
Matt?
Tangled.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said Matt.
Yeah, Tangled
Ollie?
number 3.
I'd say Tangled as well.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'm going to say Moana.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
3.
number 3 for
Number
Moana.
3.
Down to the winner.
Okay. Amelia, Lion King or Tangled for your
Number
Number
one.
2 spot.
Your number
Number
1.
one. No, vote your number 1.
We jump
Go
to
straight
number
number
1
one.
now.
Lion King would be number 1. Tangled would be number 2 for me.
John,
Lion King.
Matt, you've said Tangled is number 2, or rather, yeah, getting rid of. So
That's fine. No, you can stick with that.
you tell me. Is that?
Oh, what, can I change my mind now?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing an injustice there, though, if I do. I really like Tangled.
I really like Tangled.
Only because I wouldn't necessarily put. No, do you know what? I can't go back on what I said earlier because I put Tangled.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it has to be Lion King, doesn't it? It's number
Yeah.
1. Yeah, that's only fair.
Ollie
Yeah, Lion King number 1.
and yes, I agree. Lion King number 1. Okay, we have
Cool.
our top 5. At number 5, Beauty and the Beast. Number 4, Pinocchio. Number 3, Moana. Number 2, Tangled. And 1, The Lion King.
Play the sting. Chris, I feel like you can sing this.
Oh no, not that one.
Chris, when did you play Pumbaa?
Lion-
When did you play
Lion
Pumbaa?
Sleeps Tonight. I haven't played Pumbaa. I've played
No.
Pinocchio, actually.
Did you?
Yeah. And I've been
The reviews said you were very wooden, Chris.
oh
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
No strings
And-
attached.
Oh, that's a good one as well. That's a good one.
The baddie in Beauty and the Beast. Not Gaston, but the
LeFou.
mental asylum guy,
Oh, the doctor.
Monsieur Dark.
Wow,
there we go,
that was
guys.
good. That was good. That's a good.
Thank you very
That
much.
was good. That was good.
Thank you very much for that suggestion, Amelia, and thank you for joining us.
I'm glad you brought bed knobs and broomstickers up because I thought that's. I love that film. I'm really glad someone talked about it.
For sure,
Yeah,
honourable
it's a great
mention there.
film.
Yeah.
It's a great film. Thank you for letting me come and join you for this week.
Our pleasure. Before we go, is there anything that anyone would like to plug? Amelia, you do any socials? Do you want to plug your socials?
No, not really. There's not much on them at the moment. So no, if anyone else would like to, please feel free.
Okay.
Plug your LinkedIn, Amelia. Drum up some.
Self-advertise. Come on, girl.
Yeah.
There's not really much going on because I don't have time to update it at the moment. But I guess come and subscribe to your podcast would be the thing. What are your handles? Because I'm rubbish at remembering.
Well, funny you should say that. Our podcast socials are at 5onfilmpodcast@gmail.com. We're also 5 at 5on Film Podcasts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please feel free to come and find us. We have been a little lax of late. A couple more reviews for the films that have come out recently to go up, and we're a bit behind on the films you don't need to watch section. If you feel like getting in touch with us, please feel free to all of those. Please comment in the section below on YouTube, where this will be playing.
Write your top fives below.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And comments. Where did we get this wrong? Seriously, there are 50 odd films here, and we mentioned about 10, actually about 15, which is probably the longest podcast we've ever done so far, for the number of films. Please tell us your favorites, tell us where we went wrong. Please don't inundate us with Frozen, because obviously we just remembered.
We're very
It's
sorry
a
about
good
that.
film, though. It's a good film.
But what most importantly, if you want this podcast to turn up and other people to see it, please tell them. Please rate it, give us a review, give us 5 stars on iTunes, any way you can find it. This helps us to build the podcast. This helps us to possibly find people who will pay us to do this in the future, which means that we will be able to do this for much longer.
And all have cool backgrounds like John's.
Yeah, no expense
thousands.
spent.
And everyone try and get to the cinema. There's some good films coming out. You know, we've got the James Bond film coming out. We've got Dune that's coming out. We've got the Eternals, the Marvel film coming out. Get yourself to the cinema. It's still really cheap at the moment as well. They're doing a lot of deals on, so you can still get yourself into the cinema for like under £7-8 now. So it's worthwhile still going. Wrap yourself up, put yourself on a mask, go to the cinema, enjoy yourself.
Word.
Oh yeah.
All views expressed in this podcast are that of the individual and do not represent the views of any entity whatsoever which they have been or will be affiliated with in the future.